All right, good evening and afternoon again. This is Jake from Over the Line Radio. This is part two of my spam deal for tonight. After listening to my earlier production, I realized I did not put a lot of emphasis or a lot of explanation on what filters are and what these things are doing, these numbers that are increasing on your screen. So you probably watched the whole thing and the numbers go up and really said, well, what the hell is that? And basically, the ones I'm showing you right now are what I use on a daily basis. So these numbers that are right in front of you, these numbers help me gauge how well my filtering is doing against spam. Um, as I stated before, the numbers that are in the bottom right-hand corner that keep increasing, those are email messages that are passing through an email server, my email server. RDNS is the first filter in a series of 7 filters built into my server, filters that I've set up based on my spam load on my email server. And once they, as of right now, there has been 8 DNS lookups, and none of the email that's passed through there up to this point has passed the test. It's all been deleted at that level, so it never makes it up, to the other filters. So if most of the time, the RDNS is enough to wipe out a good percentage of the spam, and then you have your more detailed filters as it goes down the line. RDNS does a great job. And what RDNS is it's like a directory of known spam servers. If, let's just say, someone's server, it gets exploited and it starts sending massive amounts of spam out on a regular basis, eventually it will be put in this directory. And then without looking at what the spam or what the email message says at all, who cares what the content, who cares what it says, it originated from this email server, so boom, it's gone. We don't trust the server and anything that comes out of it, so immediately it's deleted. When an email passes that first test, it gets handed up to the second test, which is that XBL, real similar to what the RDNS lookup does. Just an extra level here, and I'm not going to do much explaining because it's about the same as the RDNS. It's just kind of managed a little bit differently. The third filter that it hits, if it passes the RDNS and it passes the XBL, then it gets handed up to the Bayes filter. And Bayes is really cool. The reason I like Bayes is because as time goes on, the Bayes filter learns. It gets smarter and it does a better job depending on the samples of good email and bad email that you get it to profile. And here's an example. First of all, let me... the first thing that I do is I put a bunch of email. I do all the things that I told you not to do. Like I put an email address in a forum. I put it on a website. I put it everywhere that I know a spider's going to come along and pick it up, and it's a trap. It's called a honeypot. So when a spam spider comes to that email address, it indexes me, and over time, these honeypots, they start sending spam message, and I start collecting it in this folder. And now I have a folder for collecting spam messages, and I have a folder for collecting legitimate messages. So I'm telling my mail server what a profile of a spam message looks like and a profile of what a good mail message looks like. So then when a new piece of email comes in, the mail server compares it against the profile of good email versus bad. Now, if it hits a certain percentage over good, meaning that, or over bad, meaning that it's not identical to anything that we have in the folder, but it's a lot like this one, then the Bayes filter is going to say, you're profiled to be spam, and it deletes it at that level. So as these honeypot addresses keep collecting different kinds of spam, different types, different wordings, different keywordings, different layouts, it gets smarter and smarter. So at 1,000, at 5,000, it's smarter than it was at 1,000. At 10,000, it's smarter than it was at 5,000. And this is just one of the many ways that throughout the spam history, we react and do something as administrators. We react and do something, and then a couple months later, they react and get around what we just enacted. And it's a game of cat and mouse. Right now, we're at a level where in one instance, there's one thing that we have not perfected that they are capitalizing on, and that is the image spam, where the entire body of a mail message is nothing but a large image, and then there's random text that is kind of at the bottom, and it's meant to throw off what I do, which is the keywording, the format, and whatever, because it's an embedded image. So embedded images look the same when it comes to the Bayes filter, so it's no help. Now, these emails are being generated from an infected zombie computer. So pretty much you get hit with a virus, you don't know anything's happening, but your computer is sending this image spam out. Well, your computer's not infected long enough to ever make any of the other lists. So you never make it to any of the blacklist or the DNS list, and you pop up so often. Like, okay, say this computer over here gets fixed. Well, 20 more just got infected with that same virus because people are numbskulls when it comes to opening email attachments. So anyway, it's very difficult. So myself as an administrator, we started implementing OCR, which is optical character recognition. It looks at an image and converts the text, and then runs the same kind of Bayes filter on whatever text it finds throughout an image. Well, then they reacted, and they started changing the contrast in the images so it would throw off the OCR and make it look worse. We start, and this is the point where, like I said, they've got one up on us right now because there's not a good enough technology that enables us to control what image is embedded into that email. If they fool the OCR and they fool it with there's no keywords, how are we going to stop this? How are we going to get around it? And that's where they got us right now. Honestly, if all the spammers used image, we would not be able to stop it at this point. Now they're making pretty good strides in OCR and in the ability to kill these embedded images ones, but I'm telling you, this is one where they got us. But we'll react. We'll get to it. So anyway, there's also content filters. In addition to the directories of known spammers, there's and then the tokens, which is the Bayes filter comparing two types of good legitimate email versus spam email. Then you have content filters. And how this works is, let's just say I get an email that's text. And in this email, I can find something in the text of this message that is imperative to this email, meaning that without it, this email wouldn't really be spam. For instance, we still get some pump and dump stocks where they take a penny stock and they spam everybody. They bought the stock already and they wait for everybody else to buy, and then they sell it off, and you get left holding some worthless stock. Well, anyway, some of these are still coming through as in text. So and they're primarily the same. They say the stock ticker or something like that. Now, as an administrator, I just can't put a ticker symbol in as a content filter. Okay, if this ticker symbol comes through, delete this message, because, hey, some guy might just have an idea that has nothing to do with the spam and might be telling a buddy about it. So what I do is I profile it that only in this spam message will it appear this way. And I plug that into my content filter, and whenever it sees that profile of characters in a certain way, that it would be, 1,000,000 to 1 for just some user to come up with that explanation, or that the way the characters are lined up, then I have a profile for that spam, which the content filter does a great job at. So those are my top 4. Those, as they flow through my mail server, those do the best job at getting me as close to 90% elimination as possible. As you see, these 3, the RDNS, the XBL, and the Bayes filter, get me pretty darn close to that 90% just themselves. And then those hidden filters, they do even a better job and get rid of some of those annoying ones. But anyway, that's just an explanation. I know you guys are probably sitting there wondering what the numbers were, and they were counting up and whatever. I look at that as stats. I look at RDNS lookups, that is email as they come in, and then I go to XBL and take that 131 and take those 131 away from the 528. Or first I take the 3,626 away from 528. Then I minus 131. Then I minus 1,013. And I'll keep going down the line until I get how many messages actually got through my filters. And I'll take a percentage of total email that came in, and I'll divide that out by how many were remaining after I did all of my filtering, and there's my percentage. On a high throughput where your users send a lot of email out, it's going to be a little bit different. So weekends are perfect for taking this statistic because there's not a whole bunch of business email and business traffic. You can see just exclusively just mail that came in, 90%, and you can gauge it weekend to weekend how it goes up and down. So there you go. I plan on doing a whole series of this stuff because I know there's some people out there ask questions all the time about how these things get set up. I could get really particular on setting up your mail servers and filters and all that kind of stuff. I'm not here to answer all your questions. That's not what I do for a living. But if I could just push you in one direction that thwarts one spammer, then I'm doing a great job, and it goes to the overall principle of ethical business practices. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good week, and hopefully next weekend I'll have something else good for you.